Am I so white that it's just focusing on me?
Yeah.
Okay.
You are stealing with all your whiteness. Pulling in all the light.
It's a Mac. Hi everybody! Welcome back to my channel. Happy Halloween. I'm Brooke and this is...
My name is Nick Aragon. You might know me from the Jealous Girlfriend sketch that I did with Brooke a long time ago. And that, like, since then she hasn't figured out a way to intro me. So here I am. It's so late at night.
9 p.m. Anyways, I asked Nick to come here tonight to help me with some spooky stories. They're all supposedly true stories, and it says, don't read them alone.
But she had me drive 4 towns over so that she could read spooky stories.
Name the 4 towns, Nick.
I don't want to. We should get to this.
Name the 4 towns. I read this whole book once as like a kid.
By yourself?
And I was freaked out. I hate ghost stories. Do you like ghost stories?
I think they're fine.
Do you watch horror movies?
I do. Yeah.
I hate them.
Okay.
I am scared of demonic possession.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm afraid of that too.
But like, I can't watch things about demonic possession
Got it.
I think it's real.
And
ghosts and demonic possession.
Yeah, both pretty spooky.
Very out of my control.
How about let's just start at the top?
You want to start at the top? Housewarming?
Housewarming.
Some of them aren't scary.
No.
I ripped a page out.
Okay. Come on.
I'm sorry.
You read a funny line? Does it open with like a gag?
When Mabel Wells moved to Cleveland.
I get it. That's kind of funny. That is kind of funny. Mabel? Have you ever met a Mabel?
No.
I knew one Mabel as a kid, and she was nice, but she was a little weird. So maybe it was.
You
her.
really knew a Mabel?
I knew one Mabel as a kid. Yeah, she was my neighbor.
When Mabel Wells moved to Cleveland, she picked the house on Decatur Street because it was small and fairly new. Mabel's husband had died the year before, and now there was only herself and her 15-year-old daughter, Kathy. The house
Mabel and Kathy.
The house had only 5 rooms, but Mabel felt that was enough. Wait, just 5 rooms for 2 people? That's enough.
Just something modest. For me, Mabel.
It turned out to be more than enough. Once she had moved in, Mabel found that someone had done some DIY. The walls of Kathy's room had been covered with imitation wood paneling. Okay,
this is like spooky stories for the Home and Garden channel? What is this?
HGTV.
It didn't get a foreman to come out.
It had been stapled in place, and some of it was beginning to pull loose. Ugh. As soon as I can afford it, I'll have that ugly stuff pulled down, Mabel promised.
So Mabel's already like going mad because there's not enough spackle on the walls or whatever.
Then we'll put up some nice wallpaper.
This will be bad news for Kathy.
Good, said Kathy. It gives me the creeps. Since they had no friends in Cleveland, Mabel and Kathy never thought of having a housewarming.
What a sly way of like sliding in that they're losers. I mean, I guess that they just like, they did just move there, but what just like a slick, like, because they had nothing else to do that day, they just, it's like, it's a real smooth way of saying that they got nothing going on.
They suck. They got one anyway. It started in the middle of the night on November 6th. Mabel was awakened by her daughter's voice. Kathy was standing by the bed.
Do you think Kathy calls Mabel Mabel? Like, or do you think she goes? Yeah. I think she's just like Mabel. I feel like if I was a ghost and I was about to be spooky with someone.
Ghost.
No, but I'm saying if I was a ghost and I was about to be spooky with someone, like I was gonna scare Kathy or whatever, and I heard Kathy say like Mabel, come help me, I'd be like, I better get the fuck out of here because I don't know what Mabel's about to be about. I've never met I met one Mabel and she was really old, like I said, but. Who knows what Mabel's bringing into that room with you guys?
Kathy was standing by the bed, trembling. Get up, Mama! So she doesn't call her Mabel. I think the closet in my room is on fire.
That's a dumb sentence.
Mabel stumbled out of bed and went... I'm sorry. Mabel stumbled out of bed and went across the hall to Kathy's room. She couldn't smell smoke, but she could see a red glow shining under the closet door. But when she yanked the door open, the closet was dark. There was no sign of a fire.
Go back to bed, yelled Mabel. It's like something very, like, you were like, when you're a kid and you're scared and your mom comes in and you're just like, oh, I'm so scared of this. And they're like pissed that there's not a murderer in there with you. Like, you woke me up for this.
Loved me.
You woke me up for this shit.
I had a
Go back to bed.
Loving parent. 2 nights later, Kathy woke her again. This time, the girl was calling from her room. Mama, the walls are hot! Mabel ran to Kathy's door.
Mabel rolled her eyes and walked back into the room.
She started to turn the knob, then yanked her hand back with a cry. The knob was too hot to touch.
Ooh.
She wrapped a bath towel around her hand and managed to turn the knob. Kathy was cowering in the middle of the room, very carefully.
Very not helpfully.
Mabel reached out to touch the nearest wall. It was scorching. When the fire department came, they found no fire. They had to agree that the walls and door of Kathy's room were scorching, too hot to put a bare hand on. The rest of the house was perfectly normal. The next day, electricians came to check the wiring of the Wells house. Perhaps there was an electrical fire smoldering behind the walls. There wasn't. Everything was fine. Kathy's room stayed hot for 2 more days. Then it cooled back down to normal. But some other things weren't so normal.
So you think the electricians came over? They're like, yeah, no, it's hot. It's super hot, but ghosts? I don't know. I don't know what.
I don't think there are ghosts yet.
But I mean, like, why is the door hot then? If they have a professional come out, and the professional's like, yeah, he can obviously tell that the door's hot if he's touching it, right? Mm-hmm. But he's like, yeah, I don't get it. I guess I'm just curious to know whether or not it's in their heads. Mabel and Kathy's heads.
Mm. No, but they can feel it.
Yeah, but I wonder what the electrician has to say. Like, if he's just like, yeah, it's fucked up, I don't get it. Maybe ghosts.
All right. 4 days later, Mabel decided to do the family washing. She was halfway through the job when
like those old timey like raking it up and down that like riveted like that rib thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The washboard. That's where they get the term washboard ads from.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
She just like she's like real like Marv from Home Alone. She's like fresh out, dumb hot door.
She hung out the wash in record time. But an hour later, what a good woman. Mm-hmm. But an hour later, it began to drizzle. Mabel dashed out to take down the wet clothes before they got wetter. Mm-hmm. Is that a word?
Wetter? Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Before they got wetter. That was the author. Before they got, wetter?
It was as much of a task as it might have been. On the 2 lines where Kathy's clothes had hung, there was now nothing dangling from the clothespins but charred scraps. Somehow, those wet clothes had managed to burn up. Puzzled, Mabel gathered up what was left of the wash and took it indoors. Since it was still wet, she would have to hang it on the lines in the basement, but she finished the last line just in time to see the clothes on the first line begin to smolder. A minute later, several of the garments there burst into flames. Trying not to scream, Mabel threw buckets of water over the burning clothes. Then she took down the remaining wash and piled it in the tub. With shaking hands, she filled the tub with water. Would all that water keep the clothes from catching fire? She wasn't sure. At dinner, she told Kathy what had happened to the wash. There's no reason for it, she kept saying. Kathy frowned. Maybe there is.
What do you think they were doing before, like, after her clothes caught fire, but before dinner? Like, what do you think Mabel was doing? Because she's like, she waited for dinner to bring it up.
I think she had a cigarette after. Mm-hmm. Needed to de-stress.
Yeah, it just seems like something she could have brought up to Kathy right then. I don't know why she waited.
She's like sitting on the idea, like, is now a good time?
Yeah, because what, you hang up your clothes probably the afternoon? It's probably like 2.5, 3 hours before, and Mabel's like, you're not going to believe this. I had an interesting day.
Kathy frowned. Maybe there is. What do we know about this house anyway? I'll bet you didn't know that there's a hollow space in back of the closet wall in my room.
Didn't they look at this house before they, like...
What's it called? The appreciator? There's like somebody who comes into a house before you buy it.
Oh, yeah.
Starts with an A. Appraisal!
Oh, yeah, the appraiser.
How do you know it's hollow? By the way, it sounds when you knock on the wall. Do you think it's a secret passage or something? Mabel shook her head.
Shut up, Kathy, she said.
Houses this small don't have secret passages. Houses this small with 5 rooms. There's probably a space there because the room has been repaneled.
This is a modest mansion, Kathy.
This is also the most boring children's story about house remodeling. It's not boring. Yeah. It's great. Okay.
Yeah. I still don't get why you couldn't read this alone, though. I know there's nothing in this story that's just like, oh, good thing I have another person here for this part.
I pissed myself reading it. But why had it been repaneled? She began to wonder.
She began to wonder in front of Kathy rather than keep talking to her.
She called the appraisal.
Like Mabel's just like drifting off. Just in her own head about it, you know? And she's like, hey, Mabel.
She asked the agent who had rented the house to her. After some hesitation, he replied, what a shitty real estate agent. Don't shop with them. Well, the truth is that there was a fire in that room several years ago. Funny thing, that room was gutted, but the rest of the house was all right. Why do you ask? We've been having some problems with the room, was all Mabel would tell him. She had already decided to pull down the paneling at the back of the closet. It didn't make sense, but she felt she had to know what lay behind it. The next day, she and Kathy armed themselves with heavy gloves.
Assault rifle? Oh, heavy gloves.
And work tools. The job was easier than they expected. The back panel of the closet was flimsy, and they had it down in no time. This is seriously house porn. The wall behind was badly scorched.
We better go to the hardware store.
Remodeling. That must have been some fire, Kathy exclaimed. I wonder if anyone was hurt. Suddenly, Mabel felt a rising panic. It was a feeling that she had never experienced before. It seemed to her that if she didn't get out of that closet, she would die.
Wait, I'm sorry, I tuned out for a second. She went into the closet?
Yeah, they're remodeling it.
Yeah, I know that they were tearing it down with their gloves, but like I didn't know that she got into the closet.
Yeah, they were tearing it down, and they found the wall behind it was badly scorched.
And that's just Mabel in there.
Yeah, and then Kathy was like, whoa, I hope the fire didn't hurt anybody. And then Mabel was like, damn, I'm gonna die if I don't get out of here right now. Right now. What's the matter? Kathy asked, staring at her. You're white as a sheet. I have to get out. Let me out. Mabel heard herself screaming. She dropped the tools and ran out of the room. Kathy ran after her. What happened? She asked her mother. I don't know, Mabel gasped. I was never so afraid in my life, but I'm sure something terrible happened in that room, and I need to find out what it was. Otherwise, we won't ever have any peace in this house. She went back to the renting agent. This asshole.
Me again.
Hey, so I want to know more about that fire you told me about, she said. At first, he didn't want to talk about it because he's a dick agent.
He said that.
It happened a long time ago. What has it got to do with the present? Mabel was firm. I think it has a lot to do with whether or not we go on living in that house.
Snapped Mabel.
Finally, the agent gave in. It was a bad fire, but the fire department got it under control fast and kept it from spreading to the rest of the house. What I didn't tell you was that a child died in it.
Oh, fuck. Did I leave that out? I did. Sorry.
A boy of 6. He had been locked in the closet as a punishment, and the flames kept anyone from getting to him. Oh my God, this is really sad. These are true.
I think the home remodel stuff is true. I think they added the rest of that later. I believe Mabel and her daughter had a house they didn't like, and then that they took the story from there.
I remember hearing this story though, like a few times.
From this book?
Like seeing it somehow. Not just from the book. Yes, I have read the book before 20 years ago. Blah, blah, blah. He had been locked in the closet as a punishment, and the flames kept getting He had been locked in the closet as a punishment, and the flames kept anyone from getting to him. Thank you for telling me, said Mabel. When I came here, I was so upset that I planned to cancel my lease. That's a real threat.
But this is like a lot of stuff that kids don't get. Like, the kid's supposed to be reading this is like, oh wow, she threatened to like break the lease.
Cancel her lease. Well, they're teaching Karens early.
Oh.
Deep. Woke. Thank you for telling me, said Mabel. When I came here, I was so upset that I planned to cancel my lease. I want to talk to your manager. But now that I understand what happened, I think it's important for me to go on living there. I don't understand, said the agent. It's all right, Mabel answered. My job now is to make that poor child understand. She went back home and told Kathy what she had learned. I think I know what to do, she said. You change rooms with me, then we'll take the door off that closet. Maybe then that poor little ghost will know his way out. Although Kathy didn't like the idea of her mother sleeping in the bedroom, Mabel insisted. She was no longer afraid, and if taking the closet door off didn't work, she wanted to be there where the boy had died. Maybe I can talk to him and tell him everything is all right now, she said. At least I can try. Did her plan work? It must have. Mabel still lives in the little house and sleeps in the small bedroom. And there hasn't been a fire there since the washing burned up on the clothesline. Focus.
That was kind of dumb.
You wanted to go from front to end.
Well, I just figured that why wouldn't they start off with like a good, a good note?
I feel like it was a good note. There was like a creepy ghost child living in the back.
Most of that was not about anything but remodeling the house.
It really was home porn.
Like, I feel like that story could have been 2 pages. They're just like trying to like character development with Mabel and Catherine. Is that right? Kathy. Yeah, it's just like going back and forth from the realtor.
This was their audition for Love It or List It.
What do you think happened to Kathy? I thought that the end was gonna be that Mabel died in there.
Oh my god.
That's what I thought the end was gonna be, because she was so.
This is a child's book.
Yeah, but it's like make it scary at some point that it was like, oh yeah, she's. Like the end is like she still lives there. It's like, is she haunted or caught in that lease still?
I think she now mothers the child.
Once again, though, I don't see why you need to be with someone. Like, you can read that alone. Why couldn't you read that alone?
If you're 10.
Uh-huh. I suppose if I was 10.
I don't know. I
think when I was 10, I could have read that.
I feel like we didn't even get to the scary one.
Do you think they're like, don't read this alone because it's so boring that you might fall asleep midway through? You need someone there to help you get through
Don't read this alone because you need 2 people to buy a house in 2020.
Don't read this
Sponsored
alone.
by HGTV.
Sucks.
I feel like there's scarier ones in here, man. I feel like there's some.
I feel like there's not. I feel like there's not scarier ones in here. Mm-hmm.
I disrespected the dead.
You want to bring us home?
Anyways, thank you for watching my channel. If you gleaned anything from this, if you enjoy the very handsome Nick Aragon, like this, subscribe to this, share it with your friends, and come on back because I do just like different weird stupid things all the time. Any week. Every week. Subscribe. Thank you. I'm working on it.